Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all, and thank you for joining us this morning. This is the first panel for the World Hijab Day conference entitled Unapologetic Hijabi. We're so thrilled to have two phenomenal guests and a live discussion today. We're so excited that you're joining us, and I'd love to see where you're all tuning in from. So please let us know in the chat here, and feel free to share comments that we can refer to and interact with throughout the programming today. So we're going to put some slides up as I speak to share with you about our conference and our live conference today. Let's see. We really hope that you can invite your friends and family to join. We're live on YouTube, and you can share the link to youtube.com at World Hijab Day. We're also currently live on Facebook at facebook.com/World Hijab Day, and you can watch the conference at World Hijab Day later on over the official World Hijab Day Instagram. So make sure you follow us on Instagram as well. All right, let me share my screen. All right. So here's where you can follow us and share. One really important thing we want to shout out to is thanking our sponsors and the generous contributions they have shared. The World Hijab Day organization supports efforts, and we're so excited to welcome our generous platinum sponsors for supporting the World Hijab Day conference this year. Jazakum Allahu Khair to Studio Monday and IFA. All of our sponsors, we're really excited to have them. And yes, I wanted to make sure we're sharing our banners for our sponsors as well, inshallah. Let's see. Okay. The next thing I want to share with you is about our fundraising event. The World Hijab Day organization supports efforts related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we're creating a diversity education workshop for schools. Our program is called Learning for Harmony, an Educational Inclusivity Program. The aim is to reduce bullying of Muslim students by providing an overview of Muslim culture to help everyone learn more and foster inclusion and belonging. Our goal is to initiate the program in fall 2023 with our school partners in Valley Stream, New York. If you are interested in donating to this fundraising effort, you can do so at https://worldhijabday.com/donate. We will be including these comments throughout our conversation today in the comments, so you can be sure to try to donate. With your help, we can start implementing this much needed initiative for schools and give Muslim students the support and protection they need for safer learning environments. You can help us meet our goal before the school year begins this fall. Our sponsors have helped us get started, and every little bit helps. Again, please consider supporting World Hijab Day and our Learning for Harmony program by donating at the link that we'll share. Now for the anticipated event. So I'll stop sharing the slides and go back to our panel. Let's see. Alhamdulillah. Welcome, welcome. What we've been waiting for is our panel discussion to discuss the topic of being an unapologetic hijabi. So before I begin, I will introduce you to myself. I'm Janan Sarwar, and I'll be the moderator for this segment. And we have two very lovely guests, alhamdulillah. I'm excited to share more about them. First, to my right here is Sister Shatu Sani Garko. She is the 44th Miss Nigeria and the world's first hijab-wearing woman to win a national pageant. She is only 19 years old and has been in the international spotlight for her tenacity to retain the hijab. MashaAllah, excited to have you, sister. And next is Sister Deqa Dhalac. She is a member of the Maine House of Representatives for the 120th District. She is a Somali immigrant and served as the mayor of South Portland, Maine from 2021 to 2022. She was the first Somali American mayor in the United States. Welcome, sisters. Thank you so much for joining us. Jazakallah khair. How are you doing this morning? You might have to unmute yourselves and I'll.
Actually, I think I'm unmuted. Can you hear me fine? Yes. Jazakallah khair.
Actually, I think I'm
Alhamdulillah.
unmuted.
Good
Can you hear me
morning.
fine?
Yeah.
Assalamu
Jazakallah khair.
alaikum.
Alhamdulillah. Good morning. Now we're echoing a little bit.
No problem. We can hear you clearly. Thank you so
No
much.
problem. We can hear you clearly.
Thank you so much. I'll start the questions off
I'll start the questions off
and I'll lead it directly to
and
Sister
I'll lead it
Shatu.
directly to Sister Shatu.
And the question is, and I
And the
apologize in
question
advance
is,
for
and
any
I apologize in
feedback,
advance for any feedback.
what does being an unapologetic hijabi? What does that even mean and what does that mean to you?
Here. I'm super excited to be a part of this discussion. First of all, I would like to wish you all a happy World Hijab Day, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us in our hijab journeys. Um, Being an unapologetic hijabi to me means being a hijabi that has an inner strength and pride to staying true to myself and my hijab and not trading my hijab for anything else in this world. And I would say I am a good example of that. I am that hijabi who would never trade my hijab for anything in this world. And um, yeah, I think that to me, that is what being an unapologetic hijabi is. You know, just being you, not trading your hijab for anything, not willing to change your way or how you wear your hijab for anything in this dunya. That is what an unapologetic hijabi means to me.
Beautiful. And what about
Beautiful.
you,
And
Sister
what about
Deqa?
you?
Okay. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Joining you from the state of Maine on a day that is extremely cold. It's 15 degrees here, but alhamdulillah, I'm inside my home working from home, so I am not complaining. What does an apologetically hijabi means to me? Having my hijab is a protection to me. It means that I am who I am. It means that I am a Muslim woman, and also it gives me a powerful, space to take if I want to do that. Um, Many of you might not know Maine is the whitest state in the United States, and I have been working behind the scenes as a community service person to educate our community, broader community, meaning the American community that resides in Maine, about immigrants, about Muslims, and who we are, and why our children wear hijabs in our schools. Another thing that I will add to that is if I wore the hijab in a way that gives me, makes me, brings out who I am, rather, I also am a mentor for many young girls who look like me, who are really struggling whether to wear the hijab or not in school. So when they look at me, taking all of these spaces, being the first mayor of the United States, Somali mayor, and some will argue also the first African women mayor in the United States, that will give them a way of saying, oh my goodness, if she can do this, I can do it. And these kids, these young girls were born in this country. I just got here 10 years ago, right? And they have more opportunities than I am. So it is also my responsibility to wear the hijab to make sure the next generation of Muslim girls are doing that and, taking spaces as well. So those are the reasons that I wear the hijab. And I think for all of us, it is a uniform also. Usually a woman can take off her hijab at home, but I don't sometimes because my boys who are like in mid 20s have their friends coming, and I make sure that they see that modest and also that Muslim household, and how as a woman, as a mother, as a Muslim woman, we are still doing that even if we are inside our homes.
MashaAllah, that's such a beautiful statement. I love what you said. Hijab gives you a powerful space. You have gone from somewhere that you did a lot of behind the scenes work, and now you're doing a lot more in front of the scenes. And it is powerful to see a woman like you, a woman with faith and sharing outwardly what that means. I think that's really powerful and strong. And we were speaking before the conference started about the two of you, the two panelists that we have. Sister Shatu, I think she had to step away, but she's coming right back. She was born in a country where, in Nigeria, where Islam is a little more underrepresented, whereas you are from Somalia, which is Islam is the majority religion. Is that correct? To going from somewhere like Maine, as you mentioned, being one of the very underrepresented. So how has that been for you with your hijab and being unapologetic in the way that you carry yourself? Do you get a lot of questions? Tell us more about that.
Yes, I get a lot of questions such as, "Aren't you hot in the summertime? Why are you wearing it? Are you very hot?" So, as I said earlier, we did a lot of education behind the scenes for organizations, schools, hospitals, to make sure that they accept Muslim women who they are, how they are, and how they dress. This is not as heavy as some of my Muslim sisters in Maine wear their hijab. Some of us wear burqa, and you can hardly see them. But when they go to the hospitals, the doctors have questions about that. And we have to explain to them and say, you cannot discriminate them. That's how they dress. And they ask why you have a scarf versus your client wearing a burqa. And we always kind of explain that it's the choice of the woman and what she wants to wear, and that is who she is unapologetically. So we hear a lot of different questions, and sometimes it kind of confused our girls, if you will. And we're doing the behind the work as well for our children too, and making sure that we're telling them this is your power, this is your uh, protection, this is your uniform. Don't anybody confuse you and say, "Hey, it's hot today. You can take it off." Don't do that. But if you want to do it, if you want to do it as a woman, as a girl, do it. But do not let somebody else tell you what you should or you should not do. So the work is not only one side that we're doing. We're also talking to our children. We do have girls retreat where we provide 3 days retreat for girls age no, school age, third grade through college, all Muslim girls, and telling them, asking them, what do you hear from schools? What your teachers are saying, so that we can understand what is being done. Some of our girls do not have um, um, confidence in themselves, and do not want to talk to their parents about it. So we give them a safe space to say what they're feeling, and support them behind the scenes when it comes to their teachers, educating their teachers, their principals, all the way top to the administrators, making sure that these kids are going to school and feeling safe and wearing their hijab.
Beautiful. I'm going to turn now to Sister Shatu and, ask you as well, being unapologetic, having this conviction to wear the hijab, it has caused you to be in the international spotlight. And as Sister Deqa mentioned, she's had to advocate for herself, for others, for young girls. Can you tell us more? And in case I'm not sure if your internet is working right now, so give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. It may not be connected. Okay, I'll turn it back. Sister to Sister Deka, as we're waiting for that. Yeah, I think she had to jump off, but this is just a normal thing that happens in live conferences. So everyone, jazakallah khair, and thank you for your patience. Sister Deka, you mentioned many decades of experience wearing the hijab. You said it's part of your uniform. You say that you have faced questions. If you were thinking about a message that you would share to non-Muslims about why you wear the hijab, can you sum that up in a nutshell of what you say?
So again, the education that we are doing here in Maine, and I'm sure it's happening across this country. I'm sure of that, because there are so many people who have misconceptions, misunderstandings, have their own translation about the hijab. Oh, you are a woman, you're Muslim, you must be under pressured. Uh, Maybe your husband is making you wear it, maybe your parent. We have many Muslim girls in Maine who do not wear the hijab, but that doesn't mean they are less Muslim. It doesn't mean that they are being, um, you know, black sheeped by their family. No, their family loves them. We have folks from Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Burundi, Rwanda, you name it. We have so many people from Lebanon, people from Syria, uh, right here in Maine, and the kids go to the same schools and they pray together. And also some of the girls don't have that. So sometimes people ask, oh, why you have a hijab and why your um, friend does not. So again, we make sure we are educating schools not to discriminate, not to kind of divide and conquer, if you will, and say that we have a stake in this community as well, and we have the numbers now in Portland, right across the bridge from me. The schools, we speak 66 languages. So it has been a long long time that we've been fighting for this. And now Maine, which is I said earlier, the whitest state in the country, have two hijabi women, actually three Muslim women in the state house. So we have a Pakistani American, Omarine Rana. We have Mana Abdi, who is a young 27-year-old Somali American hijabi, as well as me. It is different to many, but you can see that many of my colleagues may have questions, but they also see that I'm a very open person, and as I can answer questions that they have, and they can reach out to me and say, hey, can you tell me more about this? For example, yesterday, one of the senators, the Senate side, had a bill to asylum seekers. Usually, they cannot work if they don't have a work permit. So he had a bill to make sure asylum seekers can work while they're waiting for their work permit. So he was asking me to sign the bill for, if I can sponsor, co-sponsor with him. And at that time, as we were doing that, he was asking me a couple of questions about Muslims and what's the practice. And also me and my other Muslim two young ladies are asking the speaker, we need a place to pray. And this is something that they never heard of before. So they are just scrambling all over the place to find a space for us to pray. So we are changing that. And why we're doing that? Because we are here. We are right here. And we want to make sure that they are really recognizing us, see us, and providing what we ask.
Absolutely. What you're sharing is just freedom of religion, being able to have that equity, share the diversity, find others, and connect. I mean, what you shared was really beautiful. A lot of Muslims and people from different faiths, especially that are underrepresented, face harassment or face questions, but you're here saying, I'm open, I want to share. I'm curious. If you're curious, come and we'll answer. And I think that's what a day like World Hijab Day is all about. We want to equip others with the tools, the language, and understanding of what is happening, what's going on, and what happens when you don't speak up and share. So I see that Sister Shatu is back. Welcome back. Just wanted to turn back to you to share your experiences with being in the spotlight, being able to have experiences where you've had to defend your choice to wear this fabric on your head, and what that's meant for you. So I will turn to you.
Yes, so firstly, for me, the hijab is it's not just a fabric or a material or something I just put on my head to cover my hair. It is, for me, the hijab is my identity. The hijab is what identifies Shatu Garko. The hijab is what tells you who I am. It's, I value it a lot. It's not just a thing I wear to
Shatu, your internet may be unstable, but as she comes back online, I'm going to repeat what she was saying, that this is beyond fabric, which I mentioned that because it's so interesting how outwardly a piece of fabric has become such a force of political debate, scrutiny, and question. But as Shatu Garku said, it's beyond fabric. It means an identity for her. It is something that represents her. And back to that concept of being able to express your religion, having a way to express how you feel and your faith. And this goes to personal struggles that many people have had. Things that are difficult are not always easy. And that's something to really remember throughout this time, that it is a struggle to be someone that's standing out. One thing that I've even been questioned before is if the idea is to have one such thing could be to not be standing out, and wearing hijab makes you often stand out more. So, as I'm going to turn back to Sister Deka, how have being in the idea of being in the limelight, standing out more, being visibly looked at, how have you faced those situations where you even mentioned for those sisters that you know that are wearing the burqa, that are fully covering even their face, what does that mean when there's potentially questions or fear? How would you recommend when you share those, have those interactions? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. I think what comes to mind as you were talking is that if we do not say what we feel, nobody will acknowledge that. So, for example, when I first got elected as a city councilor back in 2018, a lot of people, there was so many hate emails. Oh my goodness, she's going to change our constitution to Sharia law. I mean, things that are not really even intelligent, if you will, things that cannot happen. So I really show up for all the communities, making sure people understand who I am, and I am not going to be someone that I am not. So that is one thing that I did. I said, this is who I am. This is who you see. And I can give you an example. I was chairing when I get first elected, 6 months to the time, I was chairing a big committee meeting, which was Chetport Noise. We have the airport right here in my neighborhood, in my district, actually. And since I am the city councilor for the district, I was the person who was chairing the meeting. And the funny thing was, there was almost let me see if I'm not exaggerating, 6 and 6, at least 14 people, 14 men, 14 white men up in the podium with me. And in the middle is this little old lady with a big old hijab running the meeting. And we had at least 50 to 60 community members who were sitting in the council chambers asking questions. these 12 men or 13 men at the time, I'm not sure exactly the number, were the experts, were the part of the FAA, part of the engineers, they were pilots, they were the ones that, the questions were supposed to be targeted. So this young man came at the front of the podium and said that, what credentials do you have to sit right here? Because he couldn't really handle the fact that there is a black immigrant hijabi woman leading this meeting with 13 professionals of FAAs and National Air Force or whatnot. He couldn't take that, if you will. So whatever questions that he had was taken away from this black person with a hijab sitting right there and just running the meeting. What credentials? So I said the credential is this: I am here. I'm sitting right here, and I am running this meeting. If you have a question for these fine men here who took their time from their family and their dinner time to answer your questions, and you want to waste your time asking me questions, I am the elected official for this uh, uh, district, and I am chairing this meeting, whether you like it or not. So my mayor at the time was sitting, and I can see him smiling and clapping for me. So if I did not respond to him and put him where he's at in a truthful way, because that is who I am, he would have just keep on doing it and others would have been followed. So again, we have to be really mindful and respectful when we say things, but yet forceful and powerful at the same time, because these seats, these spaces were not given to us. We really took it because the system is not designed for someone like me who has so many layers of the nose, if you will, being a Muslim, being a woman, being a black, being an immigrant, having big accent. The system is not for me. But with my education, with my credentials, with my community organizing, by knowing who my community is, that allows me, with my lived experience, by the way, that allows me to take spaces. Because if you take a look at some of those people who are making policies and laws for us in this country, they don't even have half of what I have. So why I cannot do that and they can? So we need to really, as a hijabi women, to step up and take spaces for the sake of our communities and our families.
Yes, wonderful. And again, as this is such a global event, Sister Shatu, she's joining us from Dubai, and I'll turn to her. But I just want to recap something that was so important. Sister Deqa said that we are talking about religious freedom here as a basic human right. Women should not be forced to wear anything, choose to between wearing the hijab and going to be in politics, going to university, wearing hijab and working. The education and the light that we have within ourselves should be able to speak for itself. So look past the hijab and respect each other. That's what we're asking. And we adamantly believe here at World Hijab Day that women should not be forced to wear a hijab because in the Quran, God says, let there be no compulsion in religion. And as being all three of us hijabis, as it's called, it's not always easy. But as we struggle and go through these, it is inspiring for others. So, Sister Shatu, you were just about to get to your story about how it's been, and you were explaining how the hijab has been so important for your identity. So, please, I'll turn the floor back over to you to share whatever you'd like.
So yeah, earlier I said the hijab to me is not just a scarf or a veil I use to cover my head. It is my identity. It is what identifies Shatu Garko. It is everything to me. And I faced quite a few challenges. I mean, I'm just 19, so I'm still growing up and haven't met so many people out there. But then the few things I've experienced is in life, I've um during my hijab journey. So first, I grew up in Kano State, which was like a Muslim society. It was the majority there were like Muslims, and then there was a Catholic school there, which was my school. So for the people there, I wasn't Muslim enough, or I wasn't hijabi enough. Then before I went for Miss Nigeria, I moved to another state, Abuja State. For them, I also wasn't hijabi or Muslim enough. And I got so many backlashes. Anytime I posted on social media, it's like, oh, you're not wearing the hijab properly, you're doing this, you're doing that. And I realized that most hijabis are not comfortable coming out. Like, there are people that actually want to be hijabis, but I think there's this impact of other people. I don't know how to put it. I don't want to say non-hijabis because it's not bad to be a non-hijabi, right? But there's this impact on them that makes them feel like if you refuse to not wear the hijab, you're going to fit into the society. And that's one thing I know for sure that makes me different. I I really I really value my hijab, and I I don't think about those people out there that have an impact on these young girls who, like, you see someone wearing uh I don't want to give an example. Anyways, but then there's this pressure on young girls to not wear the hijab because there are people out there they look up to that do not wear the hijab, and that is what makes me different. Because I decide to wear my hijab no matter where I find myself, be it in the midst of a Muslim community or Christian community or wherever I find myself in. So going back to my story, when I was when I registered for Miss Nigeria, the first thing I thought about was, oh, Muslim women in Nigeria, especially the hijabis, do not really have a representative. It's like they don't really have a stand. There's nobody to represent them. There are other hijabis that want to do things out there, but because there's no one to stand there to be an unapologetic hijabi, other girls do not want to follow that lead. So everyone is like scared. You're scared of the controversies of what people out there are going to say. Then I decided, okay, I'm going to do this for myself and for hijabi girls out there in Nigeria and everywhere in the world. So I decided to register for Miss Nigeria. I was basically the only Muslim that was, I was the only Muslim. I was the only hijabi, not Muslim, but I was the only hijabi that um that contested for Miss Nigeria. At first, I was scared. So when the registration form came out, when the registration form was out, I had so many backlashes from my own people, like my own people. And they keep saying, oh, you're going to do this after you become Miss Nigeria. You're going to change. You're going to take off the hijab. You're not going to dress modestly. And it was just a lot for me. Someone that was 18, I was 18 years old, and it was a lot for me. It was kind of affecting my mental health. But I said to myself, you have to be that unapologetic hijabi. Do not let these people drag you down. And then I went on, I contested. I was still the only hijabi. And while there was like a boot camp for 2 weeks, and there were like other girls, they kept asking me, oh, so I'm this person, astaghfirullah, it's not show off, but I'm this person that goes to pray. No matter where I am, I excuse myself and go to pray. And anytime we're like rehearsing for interviews or anything, if it's time for Salah, I'm like, sorry, excuse me, I really need to go and pray. And there was a time, the person that was like closest to me, they came to me and they were like, oh, hi, I realized that anytime we're doing something important, you excuse yourself and go to pray. Is that what you're gonna do if we're on stage and we're contesting? I said, Inshallah, if it's time for Salah and I am on that stage, I'm going to excuse myself to go and pray. And she was like, oh, but you might end up getting disqualified. And I said, I would rather get disqualified than not praying and being on the stage and then winning the pageant. to me it won't make sense because I sacrificed my salah to be on that stage. And then they found it very awkward and were like, for me, I can't do that. I'd rather be on the stage than go and pray salah. So, and again, I was like, I really panicked a lot because I was the only hijabi, you know, being the youngest, the only hijabi. It's not easy to be a hijabi, as you know, it's really not easy to be a hijabi. And, you know, I kept thinking about it, and plus getting comments on Instagram about how un-Islamic it was for me to, you know, contest for a pageant and all that. But either ways, I still did it. Alhamdulillah, today I'm here. And being Miss Nigeria only made me, I did more research on being a hijabi and how I should be a hijabi. And every day I keep getting encouraged, and you know, I became very involved in the whole World Hijabi thing, and I've been looking forward to what I'll do on World Hijabi Day since last year, and Alhamdulillah, I'm here.
Can I add to what my
Please.
young sister said? I'm so proud of you because it just reminded me last year when I was the mayor. You know, the mayor chairs the meetings for the city council, for the whole council. So last year, Ramadan, in Maine, we break the fast around, I think at that time 7:30 ish, I think, and we start our city council meetings at 6:30. So before that, I had a meeting with the council and said, I am fasting and I break my fasting at 7:30 and I will not be able to run a meeting for a whole month and also break my fasting and run back and forth and do that. I want to create, and hear this, I want to create a mayor pro term for 1 month to take over while I am fasting and breaking my fast. But I will be part of the meeting, but I want somebody to run the meeting. And again, that goes back to that power that we have if we do not exercise it and say, you know what, to make these folks happy, I should fast and then eat, maybe don't eat, fast, don't pray, run back and forth just to do something that can be done by somebody else. It didn't register well for me. So I created a mayor pro tem to do that work for me while I was fasting. And I just break my fast very good, take my time, pray, and just that's what I did, and then came back to the meeting after I did what I had to do. So I am so proud of you by doing that and putting your religion first. As you mentioned, the right to religion, it is in the constitution in this country. So we have to really exercise that, and if we don't, then shame on us.
Absolutely. This is so fantastic. The mission of World Hijab Day is to combat that bigotry, discrimination, prejudice against Muslim women through this awareness and education of what is the religion. We've mentioned prayer, we've mentioned being able to have provisions for fasting. There are so many misconceptions in Islam. So being able to talk about it and wearing the hijab, this very visible representation of Islam, helps us because whether the discrimination is within our own communities, as Sister Shatu mentioned, hearing from other people of the Muslim faith critiquing her for doing what she did. Wearing the hijab does put you under scrutiny, put you under a microscope, in fact. But as these two panelists have shared, it's about an act of faith. Our founder of World Hijab Day, Nazma Khan, she explains that hijab is progression and not oppression, because a lot of that misconception also goes back to someone forced you to do this, you are being oppressed, you don't have a voice. And just hearing the panelists here talk about the positions they've had, the representation they've had from media, in politics, in the community settings, and to visibly make a difference is so, so inspiring. So I'd actually like to turn to ask, what's a message you'd like to give to young girls out there that you want to leave them with, of what you want through all the things you've been through all the things that you've heard? What's something that you'd want to take away? So I'll turn to Sister Shatu first.
What I would like to say to all girls, is it unmuted? What I would like to say to all girls out there is to stay true to themselves, believe in yourself, just chase your dreams, be who you are. Do not let anyone or anything let you trade your values for whatsoever in this world, be it money, anything, whatever it is. To be honest, like sticking to your own values, I feel like makes you more, it puts you at this higher position anywhere. Like people look up to you, like, oh, this person isn't trading their religion values or anything for whatever it is, even if it's a like if it's if it's a one time opportunity. And I also realized that most girls feel this pressure from, there's this social media pressure where you see other girls doing things, and then you just want to be there because they feel like that's where you actually fit in. No, it's not it. What really makes you very valuable is sticking to your values, your beliefs, and just being you. To be honest, that's just it, and that's what I did until today. Inshallah, that is what has helped me till today. And I think also, like, oh, how do I put this? I've lost the words. But just sticking to who you are and then being ready. Because before I became a hijabi, when people, I didn't used to wear the hijabi, and then I used to feel like Muslims who asked us to, like, cover up and wear the hijabis were like, extreme. But I made my own research. I looked it up, everything in the Quran, everywhere had it, everything. And I decided that this is what I want. Like, this is what I actually want for myself. And I went for it. And till today, inshallah, nobody can tell me, oh, take off your hijab because this or this. I would never do that, inshallah. And for one day, for the past 3 years or 2.5 years, I have never thought about taking off my hijab. And inshallah, I never will, because I guess I believe I know what I want. I know what I want for myself. So I also want girls out there to, believe in themselves and know what you want, know what your value is, know your background, and just be you.
That is so strong. I love you. You gave everyone here some takeaways of what you want them to do. Figure out what your values are. Do some research, whether if you have questions, and this is for anything. If someone is questioning something, you shared how a lot of times people within a faith community can make you question or can make you think, is this is this oppressive, or is this something that is going to be too extreme for me? And so I love that you went back to the roots to make a decision for yourself, knowing the values that you represent and being strong in your faith. Once you're clear on that, no one can shake you. So I love that concept of being strong and no matter what happens, continuously going back to your identity. And that is so powerful. Thank you. Sister Deqa, what about you? What are your messages for everyone?
Um, Similar to my young sister, what I do and make sure that I do all the time and find time for it, although I'm extremely busy, is to speak to students. And when I say students, especially girls, whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims, we find it out now. Leaders in this world are women and girls, and we are tomorrow's leaders as well. And empowering them, especially young girls, is one of my passion. Um, this past Friday, I was invited to speak to uh, Black Student Union in Dearden High School. By the way, Dearden High School in Portland, Maine, was the first school that had athletic hijabs to for the girls who are doing sports, Muslim girls who are doing sports. So check that out. So I did speak to those kids, young people, especially women, and exactly tell them what my young sister just highlighted, to make sure that they own who they are. I know that a lot of social media things that are happening. I told them that they need to volunteer for their communities, so whether they're masjids, their synagogues, their churches, their um temples, and learn how to give back, because it starts as young, and making sure they are doing that work, and also talking to their teachers, and school representatives, and holding them accountable. My daughter was elected twice to sit on a school board as representing her school. The first time she ran, the second time the superintendent asked her to sit again, because she was giving them a lot of information that the school board members may not have, because she is at the school and telling them what kind of injustices kids are facing, whether it is anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, whatever that is, all of it, right? Racism. So she was just always complaining to them and saying that you need to make policies that are, stopping this. And because she's hearing me saying all of those things from home, and she's doing it at her school board meetings. So I make sure I go to different schools to speak to the students, making sure that we have to keep on doing our community dialogues, town halls, and also educating those who are educating our children, and telling them what they need to do when it comes to teaching our kids in their schools, and what not to do in that case, and how we can hold them accountable should they fail to do what we are expecting them to do. Because all of these things, again, as I said it earlier, the system is not really fit for all of us. It's a Western culture, it's a Western system, and we are trying to dismantle it. And it's hard to do that when this system has so much roots down, and we're just taking one step at a time. And that is number one, educating.
Beautiful. Truly, truly important information. I hear a takeaway about your daughter and your involvement over time, these small steps to take greater action and to really be involved in the local community, being on board meetings, showing up, doing community service, explain through actions, which speak louder than words. It shows that hijab is an act of worship in the Islamic faith, but it can form in such a sacred thing. It's a way for Muslim women to express themselves. It's a piece that's worn in different ways, in different styles, and different colors. But from just listening to the both of you speak, I see it as a sign of resilience, a sign of progress, a sign of hope, because there is so much that can be done. Women are breaking barriers, mashallah. And I'm so proud to see that it's from literally now we're seeing Muslim women in media and politics, on national stages, wearing the hijab, making strides to break down these stereotypes that mark it as such a negative and oppressive thing. So it's amazing. What other World Hijab Day initiatives are you all working on or thinking about um, in the coming days? Anything you wanted to share, Shatu?
Um, what other World Hijab Days initiatives?
Or if you can do something, if you could help support your local community. Now you're in Dubai, so it's a very different than where things were where you when you were in Nigeria. But what is something that you wish could happen on a day like this, a World Hijab Day, where women around the world are welcome to just experience what it's like to wear the hijab? What do you think about that for even some of your friends that maybe didn't wear hijab before to experience? Oh, I think we just lost her. What about you, Sister Deka?
Yeah, you just gave me an idea. I was not thinking about anything that I was gonna do because always I am doing so many different things. But I'm gonna ask my aide at the state house to put on my page, well, hijabi day today. So push the envelope and see what people say.
Absolutely. That's such an important thing to
Yeah,
share and to, you know, put the word out about just freedom of religion,
yeah.
freedom of expression, and what this is about. I think Sister Shatu came back. Anything that you'd like to share?
Well, in Nigeria, the hijabis, I feel like the hijabis are not very, confident, and they have like less hijab. They have less representation out there. It's like I'm basically the only one that is like really, really, I don't know, like in the spotlight. Most of them do not have that representation, and you know, it's I just want them to also be out there. I want them to feel okay with wearing their hijab without feeling the need to take it off or try to fit into the society like every girl out there.
Absolutely. This has been so illuminating for me. Does anyone have any final words they wanted to share for the audience before I close? Sister Deka?
Thank you. I would say if you're a Muslim woman, support your sisters who are Muslims and encourage them to give back to their communities. As I said earlier, community service is one of the things that are really dear to my heart. Uh, give back to your mosque. If you are non-Muslim, please try to understand who Muslims are, what we are, where we're coming from, and someone once asked me, "Oh, you're from Africa, so you must know this person who's also from Africa who's Muslim." I'm like, Africa is a continent, by the way, and it's like 54 countries with over 3,000 languages and different religions. So educate yourselves about the hijab, what is it about, and also educate your other friends who may not want to ask and afraid. There are so many good people that we have in the United States who are afraid to make mistakes and just rather be silent than ask. So just encourage people to ask questions because we are out here to answer your questions, and you cannot imagine how many open-minded people that we have in Islam and Muslim people. And just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just ask the questions.
Beautiful. Sister Shatu, any closing remarks?
Yeah, to everyone watching this, to the girls, women, if you're struggling to wear your hijab, please wear it. If you haven't started wearing the hijab, do it. If you feel the need to wear it, even if you don't wear it. Even if you don't wear it every day, just try. Everything starts from somewhere. And if you're already wearing it and you're struggling with it, keep doing you. Wear your hijab, keep your hijab on. And for the men, please try not to. It's not an advice or anything, but please, for the men, try to support all the hijabi sisters out there, the ones struggling, either non-hijabis or hijabis, all sisters out there trying to wear the hijab. May Allah all help us in our journeys. Thank you.
Thank you. This was such an amazing segment. It was a great discussion. I hope our audience greatly benefited. I saw a lot of amazing comments in the chat. This will be available for replay. So jazakum Allah khair for our panelists for joining us. And before we go, I do want to take a minute to thank our generous platinum sponsors. So I'll put that on the screen so you could see more about them. The two platinum sponsors we had for World Hijab Day conference this year were Studious Monday and Modefa. Jazakumullah khair to all of our sponsors. And if you're interested in sponsoring our next year's conference, please email us at info@worldhijabday.org. And coming up, we have in the next panel, I think here we go. Let's see. Oh, Yes, so please stay tuned for our upcoming segments for the World Hijab Day conference. Here's a quick view of the program schedule for the rest of the day. We have some more exciting discussions taking place today. And just again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for supporting World Hijab Day and have a wonderful morning and day wherever you are. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Wa alaikum salam.